What would you do if saving the daughter of the man you killed was the only way to save your own soul? Let us know in the comments what country you're watching from. My name is Jacob Morrison, and for 3 years I have lived alone in these Arizona mountains, trying to forget the sound of Apache children screaming as my cavalry unit burned their village to the ground. The whiskey helps sometimes, but it never makes the memories go away completely. That October morning in 1876, I was checking my rabbit traps near the creek when I heard it, a sound that made my blood run cold. It was the howling of wolves, but not just any wolves. This was the sound of a pack in full hunt, and somewhere in the middle of that terrifying chorus, I could hear something else. A woman's voice calling out in Apache. I knew I should stay away. I had no business interfering with whatever was happening out there. Hell, if it was an Apache woman in trouble, maybe it was justice. Maybe it was payment for what my people had done to hers. But as I stood there in the morning mist, listening to that voice grow more desperate, I couldn't shake the memory of another voice. My son Tommy's voice, calling for his papa as the fever took him 2 years ago. That voice had haunted me almost as much as the Apache screams. Against every instinct that had kept me alive in these mountains, I grabbed my Winchester rifle and started running toward the sound. The scene I found when I crested the ridge took my breath away. In a small clearing about 200 yards below, a young Apache woman was trapped on top of a large boulder, surrounded by at least 8 gray wolves. The animals were lean and hungry, their ribs showing through their thick winter coats. This was a pack that hadn't eaten in days, and they had found prey. The woman was beautiful in the way that Apache women could be, strong and graceful, with long black hair that fell like silk down her back. She wore traditional buckskin clothing decorated with intricate beadwork, and she carried a bow with a nearly empty quiver. From the dead wolf at the base of the boulder, it was clear she had already used most of her arrows. "Stay back!" she shouted in Apache, though I doubted the wolves understood her any better than they would have understood English. "I am not afraid of you." But I could see the fear in her eyes, and I could see that she was trapped. The boulder was too high for the wolves to reach her, but it was also too high for her to jump down without risking serious injury. She was running out of arrows, and the wolves were running out of patience. The largest wolf, a massive grey male with scars across his muzzle, was circling the boulder like a general surveying a battlefield. He had probably been in fights before, and he knew how to wait for his prey to make a mistake. I had 2 choices. I could walk away and let nature take its course, or I could intervene and save the life of someone whose people considered me their enemy. 3 years ago, the choice would have been easy. I had been Sergeant Morrison then, a cavalry soldier who followed orders and killed Indians without question. But 3 years of living alone in these mountains, 3 years of remembering the faces of the children who had died in that burning village, had changed me. I raised my rifle and took aim at the pack leader. The shot echoed through the mountains like thunder. The big wolf dropped instantly, and the rest of the pack scattered in panic. But I knew they wouldn't go far. Hungry wolves were persistent, and they would be back. The Apache woman spun around, her bow drawn and ready to fire her last arrow at me. When she saw me standing on the ridge with my rifle, her eyes went wide with surprise and confusion. "Who are you?" she called out in English, her accent thick, but her words clear. "Someone who doesn't like to see a lady in distress," I called back, keeping my rifle lowered but ready. "I am no lady, I am Apache." "I can see that." She studied me for a long moment, her bow still drawn. "You are white. You are my enemy." "Maybe," I said, starting to make my way down the slope. "But right now, I'm the only thing standing between you and those wolves. Why would you help me?" It was a fair question, and I wasn't sure I had a good answer. "Because it's the right thing to do. White men have not done the right thing for my people." I couldn't argue with that. "No, ma'am, they have not." By the time I reached the bottom of the slope, the woman had climbed down from the boulder. She was even more beautiful up close, with dark eyes that seemed to see straight through to a man's soul. But there was something else in those eyes, a sadness that I recognized because I carried the same sadness in my own heart. "What is your name?" she asked, her arrow still nocked but not pointed at me. "Jacob Morrison, Jake. I am Ayana. That's a pretty name. It means eternal flower in my language. Well, Miss Ayana, we need to get you out of here before those wolves decide to come back. Where would you take me? I have a cabin about 2 miles from here. It's safe, and I can get you back to your people from there." She looked at me suspiciously. "How do I know you will not hurt me? Because if I wanted to hurt you, I would have let the wolves do it for me." She considered this, then slowly lowered her bow. "You make a good point, Jake Morrison. Can you walk?" "I can walk." But as we started up the slope, I noticed she was favoring her left leg. When I offered her my arm for support, she hesitated for a moment before accepting it. "You're hurt," I said. "It is nothing." I twisted my ankle, jumping onto the boulder. "We'll take it slow." As we made our way through the forest, I couldn't help but notice how gracefully she moved despite her injury. She was clearly a woman who was comfortable in the wilderness, who knew how to read the signs of the forest and move without disturbing the natural balance around her. "You live alone in these mountains?" she asked as we walked. "Yes." "Why?" "It's a long story. I'm not going anywhere." I looked at her, trying to decide how much to tell her. "Let's just say I'm not welcome in polite society anymore." "What did you do?" "I was a soldier. I followed orders that I shouldn't have followed." "What kind of orders?" I stopped walking and looked at her directly. "The kind that involved killing your people." Her face went pale, and she took a step back from me. "You were cavalry?" "Yes." "Which unit?" "B 7th Cavalry, under Captain Hayes." "Hayes," she whispered, and I saw recognition flash in her eyes. "You were at the massacre at Sibecue Creek." My blood turned to ice. "How do you know about that?" "Because my father was there. Chief Cochise was there." The world seemed to tilt on its axis. "Cochise is your father?" "Was. He was my father." I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. Chief Cochise had been the leader of the Apache band we had attacked 3 years ago. He had been a respected warrior, a man who had tried to make peace with the white settlers until we had forced him into war. "I killed him," I said quietly. "Yes," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "You did." We stood there in the forest, 2 people bound together by tragedy and violence, staring at each other with the weight of history between us. "I should let the wolves have you," she said finally. "Yes," I agreed. "You should, but I will not." "Why not?" "Because you saved my life, and because—" She paused, searching for the words. "Because I have seen enough death." "So have I." "Then perhaps we understand each other, Jake Morrison." As we continued toward my cabin, I realized that my life was about to change in ways I could never have imagined. I had saved the daughter of the man I had killed, and now I had to figure out what that meant for both of us. The wolves were still out there, circling, waiting for their chance. But they weren't the only predators in these mountains. The past was hunting us too, and I wasn't sure either of us was strong enough to outrun it. Chapter 2. My cabin was a simple affair. 4 walls, a roof, and a stone fireplace that I had built myself over the course of 2 months. It wasn't much, but it had been home for 3 years, and it was defensible if the wolves decided to get bold. As I helped Ayana inside, I saw her taking in the sparse surroundings. There was a bed in one corner, a small table and 2 chairs, shelves lined with books and ammunition and little else. The only personal items were a daguerreotype of my son Tommy and a bottle of whiskey that I kept on the mantel. "Sit," I said, pointing to one of the chairs. "Let me look at that ankle." She sat down carefully, wincing as she extended her injured leg. When I knelt down to examine it, she stiffened. "I will not hurt you," I said gently. "You already have." The words hit me like a physical blow, but I couldn't argue with them. I had hurt her and her people, and the weight of that guilt was something I carried every day. Her ankle was swollen but not broken. I wrapped it in strips of cloth and elevated it on a wooden crate. You'll need to stay off it for a few days. I cannot stay here. You can't travel on that ankle. Not with wolves in the area. My people will be looking for me. Where were you when the wolves found you? I was gathering medicinal plants near the old burial ground. I go there sometimes to speak with my father. I felt another stab of guilt. I'm sorry about your father. I'm sorry about all of it. Are you? Her dark eyes searched my face. Or are you just sorry that you were caught? I'm sorry that I was too much of a coward to refuse orders I knew were wrong. Tell me about that day. I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the mountains where I had found some measure of peace. Captain Hayes told us there was a hostile Apache band planning to attack the settlement at Tucson. He said we had to strike first, before they could hurt innocent people. And you believed him. I wanted to believe him. It was easier than thinking about what we were actually doing. What were you actually doing? I turned back to face her. We were attacking a peaceful village. We were killing men, women, and children who had never threatened anyone. You killed my father while he was trying to protect his family. Yes, you killed my mother too. The words hit me like a sledgehammer. I didn't know. Her name was Itzel. She was trying to save the children when your bullets found her. I sank into the other chair, my head in my hands. Dear God, what have I done? You have done what white soldiers do. You have brought death to my people. I've been trying to make amends ever since. How? By hiding in the mountains like a coward. Her words stung because they were true. I didn't know what else to do. You could have gone to the authorities. You could have told them what really happened. I tried. Captain Hayes said if I spoke out, I would be court-martialed for cowardice and insubordination. He said it would dishonor the memory of the soldiers who died in the raid. What soldiers died? Your father killed 3 of my men before we brought him down. He was defending his family. He was a great warrior. He was a brave man, too brave for his own good. Ayana was quiet for a long moment, staring into the fire I had built in the fireplace. What happened to you after the raid? I finished my enlistment and left the army. I came up here to try to forget, but you can't forget something like that. No, she agreed. You cannot. I've been having nightmares for 3 years. I see your father's face when I close my eyes. I hear the children screaming. Good, she said simply. You should remember them. I have a son, I said quietly. Had a son. Tommy. He was about the same age as some of the children who died that day. What happened to him? Fever took him 2 years ago. My wife couldn't stand to look at me after that. She said I was cursed, that God was punishing me for what I had done. Perhaps she was right. Perhaps she was. We sat in silence for a while, 2 people who had been brought together by tragedy and violence, trying to figure out what it meant. You said you were gathering medicinal plants, I said eventually. Are you a medicine woman? I am learning. My grandmother taught me before she died. She said that healing is the most important skill a woman can have. Can you heal hatred? She looked at me with those dark eyes that seemed to see everything. I do not know. Can you? I don't know either. Why did you save me from the wolves? It was a question I had been asking myself since the moment I pulled the trigger. Because I heard you calling out, and it reminded me of my son. Because I couldn't stand the thought of another innocent person dying while I did nothing. I am not innocent. I have killed white men. In battle? In revenge. After you killed my parents, I rode with the warriors who raided your settlements. I have blood on my hands too. Then maybe we're both cursed. Maybe we are. Outside I could hear the wolves howling in the distance. They were still hunting, still circling, waiting for their chance. They will not give up, Ayana said, following my gaze to the window. No, they won't. Hungry wolves are persistent, like guilty consciences. I looked at her with new respect. You're very wise for someone so young. Tragedy ages you quickly. Yes, it does. As the day wore on, I found myself drawn to this woman who had every reason to hate me, but seemed instead to be trying to understand me. She was intelligent and thoughtful, with a dry sense of humor that surfaced occasionally despite the weight of our shared history. "You have many books," she observed, looking at the shelves I had built. "Reading helps pass the time. What do you read?" "Poetry mostly, philosophy, things that help me try to make sense of the world." "Do they help?" "Sometimes." She pointed to a volume of Walt Whitman's poetry. "What does that one say?" "I celebrate myself, and sing myself, and what I assume you shall assume, for every atom belonging to me as good belongs to you." That is beautiful. Whitman believed that all people are connected, that we're all part of the same great tapestry of life. My grandmother used to say something similar. She said that the Great Spirit lives in all things, and that to harm another is to harm yourself. Your grandmother sounds like a wise woman. She was. She would have liked you, I think. Even though I'm the man who killed her son and daughter-in-law. She believed in redemption. She believed that people could change. Do you believe that? I am beginning to. As evening approached, I prepared a simple meal of rabbit stew and cornbread. Ayana watched me cook with interest. "You are a good cook for a soldier. You learn to take care of yourself when you live alone. Is this how you want to spend the rest of your life? Alone in the mountains?" "I don't know. I haven't thought much about the future." "Why not?" "Because I wasn't sure I deserved to have one. And now I'm not so sure about anything." We ate in comfortable silence, two people who had been thrown together by fate and were trying to figure out what it meant. Outside, the wolves continued their patrol, and I knew they wouldn't give up easily. "I should take you back to your people tomorrow," I said. "My ankle is not healed. I'll carry you if I have to. And if my people kill you for what you did, then I'll die knowing I did one good thing in my life." She looked at me with something that might have been admiration. "You are not the same man who killed my parents." "No," I agreed, "I'm not." "What changed you?" "Living with what I had done. Losing my son. Realizing that hatred only breeds more hatred." "And what would you do differently if you could go back?" "I would have refused the orders. I would have told Captain Hayes to go to hell. Even if it meant court-martial?" "Even then." "That takes courage." "No, it takes desperation. I was too desperate to keep living with the guilt. And now I'm still desperate, but in a different way." "How so?" "Now I'm desperate to find a way to make amends, to find a way to honor the memory of the people I killed." "How would you do that?" "I don't know, but maybe helping their daughter would be a start." She studied my face in the firelight. "You would do that, even knowing that my people would never accept you?" "I would try." "Why?" "Because your father was a good man who died protecting his family. Because your mother was innocent. Because I need to find a way to live with what I've done. And if I asked you to help me get revenge on Captain Hayes, then I would help you. Even though he was your commanding officer? Especially because he was my commanding officer. He's the one who gave the orders. He's the one who lied about what we were doing. You would betray your own people. My people betrayed everything they claimed to stand for when they massacred your village. Outside, the wolves howled again, closer this time. They were getting bolder, and I knew they would test our defenses before the night was over. "They're coming," Ayana said. "Yes, they are. Are you afraid?" "Of the wolves?" "No." "Of what?" "Of what tomorrow will bring. Of what I'll have to face when I take you back to your people." "You could leave me here and ride away." "No, I couldn't." "Why not?" "Because I've run away from enough things in my life. It's time to face the consequences of my actions, even if it means your death." "Even then?" She reached across the table and took my hand. "Then perhaps there is hope for your soul, Jake Morrison." "I hope so. I surely hope so." As we prepared for what might be our last night together, I realized that this woman had given me something I hadn't had in 3 years, the possibility of redemption. Whether I lived or died, I would finally have the chance to do something right. The wolves were still out there, hunting, waiting, but for the first time in 3 years, I wasn't running from them anymore. Bidji, Chapter 3. The wolves came just before dawn, when the darkness was deepest and our guard was most likely to be down. but I had been expecting them and I was ready. I had spent the night checking my weapons and reinforcing the cabin's defenses. The windows were too small for a man to climb through, but they were perfect for shooting from. I had ammunition enough for a long siege, and I had positioned myself where I could cover all approaches to the cabin. Ayana sat in the far corner, her ankle elevated and her bow across her lap. She had insisted on staying awake with me, despite my protests that she needed rest. "How many do you think there are?" she asked as we heard the first howl. "At least 6, maybe more." "They are very hungry." "Yes, they are." The first attack came from the east, where the slope was gentlest. I saw the lead wolf, a large female with grey fur and intelligent eyes, testing the ground near the cabin. She was smart, this one. She knew that humans were dangerous, but she also knew that we were trapped. I took aim and fired. The shot echoed through the mountains, and the wolf yelped as my bullet took her in the shoulder. She limped away, but she wasn't dead. That would make her angry, and angry wolves were unpredictable. "They will try a different approach now," Ayana said. "Let them come." But they didn't come right away. Instead, they circled the cabin, staying just out of rifle range, testing our defenses and looking for weakness. It was like being under siege, and I had to admire their tactical thinking. "They are smarter than most men I have fought," Ayana observed. "Hunger makes animals desperate. Desperate animals are creative. So are desperate men." "Yes, they are." Dreamed as the sun began to rise, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson. I thought about the strange turn my life had taken. 3 days ago, I had been a hermit, hiding from the world and drowning my guilt in whiskey. Now I was defending the daughter of the man I had killed, and I found myself more alive than I had felt in years. "Jake," Ayana said quietly, "there is something I need to tell you." "What?" "I was not alone when the wolves found me." I turned to look at her. "What do you mean?" "I was with a hunting party. 3 warriors from my tribe." "Where are they now?" "The wolves killed them." I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the morning air. "All of them?" "Yes. They died protecting me." "Why didn't you tell me this before?" "Because I was not sure if I could trust you. And now you can? Now, I believe you are trying to redeem yourself. What does this mean for us?" "It means that when my people find their bodies, they will come looking for me. And when they find me with you, they'll kill me. Yes, they will kill you." I considered this information, weighing it against what I had already committed to do. "How long do we have?" "Not long. My brother Nalnish is leading the search party. He is a skilled tracker, and he knows these mountains well." "Your brother?" "Yes. He was chief of our band after my father died. And what will he do when he finds us? He will assume you captured me. He will torture you slowly before he kills you. And if you tell him the truth, he may not believe me. The hatred between our peoples runs deep. Then we need to make sure he believes you." "How?" "By showing him that you chose to stay with me. By showing him that I protected you." "That will not be easy. Nothing worthwhile ever is." Just then, the wolves made their move. They came from 3 directions at once, coordinating their attack with military precision. I shot the first one through the window, but the others were already at the door, throwing their weight against it. "They're trying to break in!" I shouted, grabbing a chair to brace the door. "The back window!" Ayana called out. "One of them is trying to get through." I spun around to see a large male wolf squeezing through the small window. He was stuck halfway through, snapping and snarling as he tried to pull his hindquarters inside. I put a bullet in his head, and he went limp. But the distraction had cost me. The other wolves had gotten the door partially open, and I could see yellow eyes and snapping teeth in the gap. "Jake!" Ayana screamed. I turned to see another wolf launching itself through the window where I had shot the first one. It hit the floor, running, heading straight for Ayana. Without thinking, I threw myself between them. The wolf's teeth sank into my shoulder, and I screamed as pain shot through my body. But I managed to get my hands around its throat, and we rolled across the floor, fighting for our lives. "The knife!" I gasped. "On the table!" Ayana grabbed the knife and plunged it into the wolf's side. The animal yelped and released its grip on my shoulder. I rolled away, blood streaming down my arm, and grabbed my pistol from the floor. The wolf was wounded, but not dead. It gathered itself for another attack, its eyes burning with primal fury. I put 3 bullets in its chest, and it finally went still. "Jake!" Ayana crawled across the floor to where I lay bleeding. "Are you all right?" "I'll live," I gasped. "But we need to get out of here. That gunfire will bring your brother running." "You cannot travel with that wound. I can travel." "No, you cannot, and I will not let you die because of me." "I'm not dying because of you. I'm dying because of what I did to your people." "You are not dying at all." She began tearing strips from her dress to bind my wound. "I will not let you." "Why do you care?" "Because you saved my life. Because you are trying to make amends. Because—" She paused, her hands gentle on my injured shoulder. "Because I have seen enough death." "So have I." "Then we must find a way to live." As she worked on my wound, I could hear horses approaching. The sound of hoofbeats was unmistakable, and they were coming fast. "Your brother?" I asked. "Yes, he is here." "What do we do?" "We tell him the truth. All of it." "Will he believe you?" "I do not know, but it is our only chance." The horses stopped outside the cabin, and I could hear men talking in Apache. Their voices were tense, angry, and I knew they had found the bodies of the warriors who had been killed by the wolves. "Ayana!" a man's voice called out in English. "We know you are in there. Come out now." "That is Nalnish," she whispered. "My brother." "Go to him." "Not without you." "Ayana, if you stay with me, he'll kill us both." "Then we die together." "No." I struggled to sit up, pain shooting through my shoulder. "You have your whole life ahead of you. You have your people to lead, your father's legacy to honor. You can't throw that away for me. You would have me abandon you. I would have you live. And what kind of life would that be? One built on abandoning someone who tried to save me." Before I could answer, the door burst open. 3 Apache warriors entered, their faces painted for war and their weapons ready. The first one, a tall man with strong features that resembled Ayana's, had his rifle trained on me. "Nalnish," Ayana said calmly, rising to her feet. "I am glad to see you." "Sister," he replied, his eyes never leaving me, "step away from the white man." "I will not. He is your captor. He killed our warriors." "No, brother, he is my savior." "The wolves killed our warriors. This man saved my life." "Lies!" Nalnish's finger tightened on the trigger. "White men do not save Apaches. They only kill us." "This one is different." "How is he different?" "He is the one who killed our father." I saw shock register on Nalnish's face, followed quickly by rage. "Then he dies slowly." "No," Ayana said, stepping protectively in front of me. "He dies with honor, if he dies at all." "You protect the man who murdered our father." "I protect the man who saved my life, who risked his own life to save mine." "Why would he do such a thing?" "Because he seeks redemption, because he knows what he did was wrong, because he wants to make amends." Nalnish looked at me with eyes that burned with hatred. "Is this true? Do you seek to make amends for murdering my father?" "Yes," I said, meeting his gaze. "I do." "How would you make amends for such a crime?" "By serving your people. By using my knowledge of the white man's ways to help protect your tribe. By giving my life, if necessary." "Your life is already forfeit." "Then let me die doing something useful." "You would fight against your own people." "My people betrayed everything they claimed to stand for when they massacred your village. They are not my people anymore." "And what would you do for us?" "Whatever you ask. I know the army's tactics, their plans, their weaknesses. I know which officers can be trusted and which ones cannot. I know where they get their supplies and how they move their troops." "You would be a traitor." "I've been a traitor to my conscience for 3 years. It's time I became a traitor to something that deserves it." Nalnish looked at his sister, then back at me. "Ayana, is this man telling the truth?" "He is telling the truth." "And you trust him?" "I trust him with my life, even though he killed our parents." "Because he killed our parents, He understands the weight of that crime, and he is trying to bear it with honor. Nalnish lowered his rifle slightly. You would vouch for him? I would. And if he betrays us, then I will kill him myself. Very well. Nalnish looked at me again. You will come with us. You will live among our people. You will prove your worth, or you will die trying. I accept those terms. And you will marry my sister. What? Both Ayana and I exclaimed at the same time. You have been alone with her for 2 days. By Apache law, you have compromised her honor. You must marry her or die. Brother, Ayana protested, that is not necessary. It is the law. I will not force marriage on her, I said. If she does not want me, then I will accept death. And what do you want, sister? Nalnish asked. Ayana looked at me for a long moment, her dark eyes searching my face. I want to give him the chance to prove himself. I want to see if a man can truly change. And if he proves himself, then I will consider his proposal. And if he does not, then I will watch him die with honor. Nalnish nodded slowly. It is decided, then. You will come with us, Jake Morrison. You will live among the Apache. You will prove your worth, or you will die trying. I understand. Do you? Yes. I understand that this is my chance for redemption, my chance to honor the memory of the people I killed, my chance to become the man I should have been all along. Then let us go. The dead warriors must be buried, and you must begin your new life. As they helped me to my feet, I realized that my journey of redemption was just beginning. I would live among the people I had wronged, serve the daughter of the man I had killed, and try to prove that even the most damned soul could find salvation. The wolves were gone, but the real hunt was just beginning. And this time, I was both the hunter and the hunted. 6 months later, as I stood beside Ayana at our wedding ceremony, I knew that I had finally found what I had been searching for in these mountains, not just redemption, but a reason to live, a reason to be better than I had been. The Apache had tested me, challenged me, and finally accepted me. And Ayana had seen past the man who had killed her parents to the man who was trying to make amends. Do you think we can make this work? She asked, as we stood together under the stars. I think, I replied, taking her hand, that we already have. The mountains were quiet now, peaceful. The wolves had found other prey, and the ghosts of the past had finally been laid to rest. I had found my redemption in the most unlikely place, with the most unlikely person, and for the first time in 3 years, I was truly home. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey of redemption and second chances, a story that shows us that even our worst enemies can become our greatest allies when love conquers hatred. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, and let us know in the comments what part moved you the most. See you in our next Wild West adventure.